welcome to another edition of Inside the Picture, our Saturday morning show, which has become a hit, and we're going to continue to make it a big hit. Anyways, my name is Scott, working around the motor city Madmouth. Please be joined by my Saturday crew of Candy Epling. Glad to have you back, Candy.
Always great to be here.
And Mel, glad to have you on.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be here.
And not last but not least, Marvin Powell III.
Hey, happy to be here. Great to be a Trojan. Great to be here with you guys.
All right, well, glad to have this group. We have a busy agenda for sure. Let's get right to it. We're going to start off with a birthday greeting. And that birthday greeting goes to Jacksonville Jaguars legend Tony Brackens. He's 51 years of age, played in the Pro Bowl in 1999, retired in 2004 due to injuries. Let me give you a little bit of the story on Tony Brackens so everybody can talk about it. Obviously, he had 362 tackles, 55 sacks, 27 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions. He was released in 2004 after a series of troubling leg injuries and operations. He ultimately decided to retire, saying that the recent rule changes have made it impossible to play his style of football. Marvin and Mel, you guys are ideal to talk about this one. We'll start off with you, Marvin.
Yeah, listen, I understand what he's saying about these rule changes. Listen, when I was a kid, my dad taught me football. He taught me the mindset. He taught me the perspective. This guy was an offensive lineman in the 70s in college, played in the 70s, 80s NFL. We used to talk about ripping a man's heart out of his chest like in Indiana Jones and watching the heart pump in your hand as you hold it up to the sky. You know, we used to talk about the violence in the game and the physicality of the game. And when you grow up like that, you see nowadays you can't even hit the quarterback. You can't hit the quarterback square up no more. You can't hit the quarterback, and you can't hit players, you know, in their helmet. I understand the safety of the game. I understand they're trying to evolve the game. But to a lot of guys, man, you know, we get off, you know, on just the physicality and just the brute nature of what football is, putting that man on the gurney. No, you're not really trying to injure somebody, but during that play and that 3 to 5 seconds that you playing the game, you playing with violence. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays the rules don't allow that. You know, it bothers me to see guys, you know, make big plays, big hits, and now they're called dirty players. It's a dirty play, and you know, you see the media and social media jump on these players. I'm not with that. You understand? I understand what Tony's saying completely. This was a Pro Bowl player, an elite level player during his day, and he learned and understood to play this game one way, and that's violent. You know what I mean? And again, you know, you see the unfortunate reality, what happens with guys with CTE sometimes and all that stuff, but you choose to play this game. You chose to play this game. You understood, you know, what comes with this game. And, you know, for a lot of players, that's a tough deal. I've heard Ray Lewis say something like that. I've heard Rodney Harrison say something like that. You know, heck, they don't, you know, as a blocking fullback, they don't call flags on us for beating on linebackers. But, you know, for defenders, it's really a tough situation, I think, because, you know, football is such a fast-paced game. You have so much momentum during these plays. And sometimes it's hard to let up. Sometimes when you're running toward a player, you're running with, you know, again, with such momentum that the idea of having to, you know, avoid hitting him here, avoid hitting him there, that's just crazy to a lot of guys, man. So I understand exactly what Tony is saying. I hate to see it myself. I think the game of football is losing a lot, you know, in its effort to try to be safe, you know, and, you know, it's just hard for me to honestly, it's hard for me to watch it sometimes with these flags and what they call penalties. So, yeah, I get it for Tony. I hate that he had to have the injuries. But like I said, a lot of guys who are a little bit older, they feel this way. And if you had an older football mentor, I'm sure Mel's dad will tell you the same. You know, you play this game physical, you know, and you play it violent, and that's how it's supposed to be played.
Mel?
Well, yeah, I actually agree with Marvin and what he's saying here. And yeah, my dad, you know, he taught me how to play football as well. And, you know, he taught us to put our helmet right underneath the chin. You know, that's how, you know, the helmet was used as a weapon. Now they want you to get the head out of the game. Very, very difficult. You know, I said they should do away with the quarterback protections when they get out of the pocket, that sliding thing, because I think more quarterbacks get hurt sliding because the defenders ease in between. You know, am I going to hit him or should I not hit him? Is the quarterback going to try to do something to me to make me look stupid? I think once the quarterback gets out of the pocket, they should, you know, they should lose their protections. And then these wide receivers, I mean, they're running through the middle, man. I mean, they just run through the middle like it's nothing. Back in my day, you couldn't run through the middle like that. I mean, if you came through the middle, you were going to leave with something. I mean, Ronnie Lott was going to be sitting there waiting on you. I mean, there's a whole lot of folks with a lot of bad intentions that are going to be waiting on you. You came across the middle. So, I mean, you had to have a lot of courage. And Michael Irvin talks about it. You had to have a lot of courage. You had to have a lot of courage back in the day to come across the middle. And that, there was more protections then than there were from my dad when he was playing the game. The game was extremely violent. They outlawed a certain number of things. The clothesline, Dick Night Train Lane, man, he was taking people's heads off. They outlawed that. Guys would come out there. My dad talked about Deacon Jones. They told him about stories of Deacon Jones. He would have a roll of quarters that he would have taped to his hand because they got rid of the head slap because, man, he was knocking people out with the head slap, but he had a roll of quarters that he would tape inside of his glove. So he'd come off the line and guys' bells were just ringing because of that. But, obviously that's not something that you want. In an effort to make the game more exciting, I think the NFL, they think scoring is more exciting. I actually like a low scoring defensive battle. I enjoy that type of game because for whatever reason, I just think it's more suspenseful than when it's just it's just an outright shootout. 45-50 or something like that. I enjoy a tight game like the Super Bowl we had a number of years ago where there wasn't a lot of scoring. Maybe it wasn't as popular, but I thought that was a much better game than watching guys just run around free and catching balls and the scores and no defense being played and both offenses scoring a lot.
Let me tell you something before I turn over to Candy. Number one, I'm glad you brought up Dick Night Train Lane's name because many years ago when I started in the business back in 1980, I went to the Michigan State Fairgrounds and did a remote broadcast. And who do you think was sitting right next to me? Dick Night Train Lane. And we talked football for a long time before we ended up going on the air. I'll tell you, Mel, you really conjure up some great memories. Hello, Dominic. Dominic, how are you? Glad to see you this morning.
Well, those are memories that were shared with me growing up.
Well, I know. I'm telling you, Mel, that's called a great segue, okay? It is. They were shared with you, but I had a chance to go ahead and meet the guy and do a show with him on WXYZ Sports Talk, which I'm sure you probably remember, right, Mel? That was one of the bigger sports talk shows back in the day, and I was actually the producer for that show with George Eichhorn. So I'm glad you brought up Dick Night Train Lane as well. Great stuff, Mel, is what I'm telling you, okay? Great stuff. All right, Katie, go ahead.
So Tony was taken in the second round of the 96 NFL draft, 33rd overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars, whom he played his entire career. His lone Pro Bowl appearance came in 2000 after the 99 season in which he had 12 sacks and 8 forced fumbles. When he retired, he held the all-time Jacksonville Jaguars records for several categories: sacks at 55, fumble recoveries at 13, and forced fumbles at 28, and was the leading tackler all time among Jacksonville Jaguars defensive ends.
Okay, just to go ahead and reach out to some people in the chat room, Spirit 859. This channel is about sports and non-sports related topics, any content. Oh, yeah, Spirit. And please subscribe to the channel, and you can do so with the barcode to the left, something we just created, and you'll get to see everything. I also put a lot of travel content in here as we go out there and take trips around the world. So that's a great question for all y'all, everybody coming in here for the first time. This is a channel which is multi-dimensional, where we talk sports and non-sports. So Spirit 859, thank you very much for coming in this morning and tuning in for us here on Inside the Pigskin. Much, much, much appreciated. But we talk about everything. We do a lot of sports, but we also do a lot of non-sports as well. Maria, Merry Christmas to you as well. All right, let's talk about head coach Jason Eck. He has agreed to a new 5-year deal with the Lobos. He's now under contract through 2030 season. The deal boosts his annual compensation to an average of $1.75 million, $600,000 increase, which also includes incentives for up to $1.75 million, a $600,000 increase, includes incentives for regular season victories, postseason success, and wins over Power 4 opponents. Let me tell you something about Jason Eck. This guy here has really risen up the coaching ladder, and he's done a really good job at the New Mexico Lobos. I know that they fell on the short end yesterday to the Minnesota Gophers and PJ Fleck, but this guy is a heck of a coach, Marvin. He really is, and New Mexico's got something good going over there.
Yeah, they do. PJ Fleck in Minnesota, they're on a 9-game bowl winning streak. So New Mexico just caught them at the wrong time of the year. I caught the wrong program. But I'll tell you what, man, the money that these coaches are making, I think is justified just because they're leading these major football programs with these high-paid elite athletes in these schools who are making a ton of money. The truth is, he's rewarded a new contract. I think in any industry, people would say 1.7 million is it. That's a good amount for me to make. But the truth is, man, these guys are making literally 10 times that at bigger schools. So what you're watching is this guy, you're watching his process. You're watching him go to a program like New Mexico, have some success, earn a new contract, which you want to see. The unfortunate reality is that in this day and age of college football, everybody's moving on up like the Jeffersons, moving on up. Everybody's trying to get to that next level. And this guy will be no different. If he actually sticks around for a while, get some, if they have money for NIL for their athletes, they'll continue to be competitive, winning at least 6 games a year, being bowl eligible. And if that's the case, you'll see this guy mentioned, in the Power Four. You'll mention, listen, if he really wants to, do his thing, man, he'll win games there and just move on to bigger schools because there's a lot of opportunity out there for coaches, a lot of money to be made, and 1.7 is nothing compared to what he can do if he wants to go into, let's say, the Big Ten.
Okay. Well, by the way, Bob Davie had some success also there as well. So, and he obviously came from Notre Dame, so he had a little bit of success there.
New Mexico, that's a stepping stone program when you're a head coach. That's no offense to anybody who goes to school there. It's one of those programs where you're not nationally known, you're not getting the big TV deals, you're not playing USC, Notre Dame, but you have an opportunity there. So yeah, you'll be hearing this guy's name in the future if he has any success in New Mexico State.
Mel.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, they're just trying to keep him there during this hiring cycle. This is something that was unprecedented that we haven't seen in a long time, where you had these major college programs looking to hire jobs. And then with those major college programs, these blue bloods looking to hire coaches, there's going to be other opportunities available too from the schools in which those coaches left. They left. So there was a lot of opportunities out there at good programs because you had guys, one of these blue blood programs that came from very good programs. So, there were still coaching vacancies to be filled. But yeah, he got a 7-figure payday now. Now, that'll probably keep him for a year or two, and because he's looking for the next payday, man. He's looking for that 8-figure payday.
Candy.
I'm not saying he's looking for it, but that's what's coming. It's
not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But you know what? I tell you, he does.
As long as he continues to win, as long as he continues to win, there's going to be a bigger payday out there for him.
Precisely my point. Thank you, Mel. Yeah, you're right. If this guy keeps winning at New Mexico of all places, then who knows what the next blue blood program is. If you're winning, they're going to find you. All right, Candy, take over.
How can I not root for him? He was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin. He played for the Badgers from 95 to 98 as an offensive lineman. So then he was named the 36th head coach in program history at the University of Idaho on December 18th of 2021. Idaho had just completed its 5th straight losing season and posted a 4-7 record in 2021. In Eck's first season in 2022, the Vandals were 7-4 in the regular season and made the FCS playoffs. He was actually now named New Mexico's coach December 14th of 2024. He won Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year for 2025. That's how big a turnaround and what he's done, both at Idaho and now at New Mexico. So kudos to him. I wish him nothing but success.
And you say he's from La Crosse, Wisconsin, you said, Candy?
Yeah, he was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. In 1999, when I was with the Saints, we had training camp in La Crosse, Wisconsin with the Saints. Very nice people out there. Hope he's a nice guy too.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd like to meet. Got some people you want to meet and some people you want to beat. And if everybody knows what I'm talking about, go ahead and look back in the archives and you'll find a show for the ages. And need I say more? All you have to look basically is somewhere around what, November, Candy, to find that particular show. There you go, the Sports Exchange, everybody. And I'll leave it at that. We'll keep things going. The things are looking up for the Stanford Cardinal football program. Is it just received a $50 million donation from a former player? My goodness, Frank Reich was there. You got Andrew Luck there. Candy, what are your thoughts about the Cardinal obviously getting a $50 million donation?
Obviously, that it's kudos to them. I mean, that can only help their program. It's always good to see when alumni give back to the school and the program. So kudos to them. That's a big donation there.
And we'll turn over to you, Mel.
Well, Stanford is since Stanford's been a good program for a minute now. The last few years, they haven't been that good. And that's, Stanford's been one of those programs that's really kind of frustrated me. Is that, and if you can recruit and win at Stanford, why can't we recruit and win at UCLA? I mean, I would think it's a little bit harder to get in Stanford than it is to get into UCLA. But I digress. It's good for them. But again, Stanford has been relevant a lot more recently than my Bruins, and I think even Marvin's Trojans. So Stanford has been a good program, and they just somehow or another, when the coach retired, Brian Shaw, not Brian Shaw, Shaw, I can't think of his first name. He's with the Lions now. But when he retired, the program just kind of went down a little bit because they had a philosophy from when Jim Harbaugh was there. They had a philosophy. They had a way in which they went about business, and they were very, very successful. They were relevant nationally, and that's all I'm asking for my Bruins to be, is relevant nationally, compete for a few national championships here and there, but just to be relevant on a national stage. So yeah, it's great for Stan. $50 million ain't gonna go very far. That's 2 NIL. That's 2 seasons. I mean, the salary cap is $20 million, I think it is, or somewhere in that area. So I mean, that's nice. It was nice of somebody to do that, but that's not going to go very far.
Marvin's
2 players.
Yeah. First of all, Mel, don't bring up USC and UCLA like we're the same.
You're right. We're not.
No, yeah, we're not. So don't do that.
What's that Sesame Street song?
Viewers, okay, but listen, 50 mil, Stanford, man. Mel's right. Stanford is a good program. If you haven't been paying attention, they've had a serious football program, for at least 30 years. I mean, they've always been competitive. Obviously, they have really high academic standards, so they're picky about who gets in there. But even with the guys they get, man, you don't want to catch Stanford on the wrong day. You know what I'm saying? Because they got NFL players on that roster for sure. And listen, in the NIL era where it's about money and it's about getting these kids paid, you're going to see more alumni just donating to their schools. Stanford has wealthy alumni. If these dudes decide to really write that check, Stanford going to be seriously competitive. You know what I mean? And I've been wondering to myself, Stanford, which you could argue is in the Ivy League, or you give them that kind of respect academically. Man, can you imagine if the Ivy League was really writing those checks to these kids? I mean, they went out and these top academic schools. So yeah, Stanford football is a real thing. They have a real following, a real football base. I've played Stanford a few times in my career, and they take football very serious. They do. So if they can get the top academic students, and on top of the collective, those NIL deals start coming in, and these alumni start creating opportunities for these kids, Stanford could be a national power in the NIL era. That's a real thing. And Andrew Luck, former NFL great, former college great, who's now their general manager, he's pushing that agenda. He's pushing for Stanford to be an elite program, believe me. And I would be shocked if Stanford, with Andrew Luck leading them, if you didn't see them as a top 25 team moving forward, because I think Andrew Luck has a plan over there, and we're seeing it come to fruition.
No question about it. I'll just end the topic by saying this. Anytime you get a $50 million donation from a former player, that's nothing but positive for the program for sure. All right.
Can I just add one thing? One of the things that the purpose of this $50 million is to fund 5 new football scholarships besides NIL.
Okay. Great. Well, what do you expect from an academic institution which Stanford prides itself around? Great information, Candy. Much appreciated. All right. Let's talk about the fact that Alabama Hasn't lost to the same opponent twice since in the same season since 1893. I only knows how many of our old grandparents or great grandparents were alive, and that's when the Birmingham Athletic Club beat them more than 130 years ago. Well, guess what? That changed when the Sooners who are now still winless in the college football playoff. They're now 0-5 as they lost to Alabama 34-24. All right, Birmingham Athletic Club, been 130 years, but Oklahoma lost to Alabama, and they're 0-5 in the college football playoff. We'll lead it off with you, Marvin.
Yeah, it's tough to beat a good team twice. Whenever you have two evenly ranked teams or teams who are just matched equal for the most part, you beat them once, it's hard to beat them twice because a team who lost has so much incentive, so much so much emotional momentum to want to go out there and play. It's hard to beat a team twice. So it didn't really surprise me when that happened. In regards to Oklahoma, I mean, listen, Lincoln Riley did a great job taking that program to the playoffs 3 years in his short time there. And that's when it was a 14 playoff. And now they got Brent Venables. They got to figure that out, and they will. The fact that they are a playoff team says a lot. Brent Venables has done a very good job with that program in the time that he's been there. But Alabama is a juggernaut. Granted, when we say Alabama, we have to say the new Alabama because it's not the Nick Saban Alabama. With that said, Kalen DeBoer is a very good coach. I think he's shown that. But yeah, he has that program ready to roll. Those kids look good. They got a big game coming up here. And it doesn't shock me that we haven't seen Alabama lose to the same team twice in the same year. Just because they're that caliber of program, you're not going to beat them twice in 1 year. At least not in the Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer era.
Yeah, but come on, 1893.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
that's a long time, man. I can't count that high.
They've been playing football for a long time, man. And football is something that it's the South, man. It's the SEC. They have nothing else. It's not like they're not in Los Angeles, competing against Hollywood and everything else. There's nothing out there. So these programs, football means a lot to them. You know what I'm saying? And but still, to go back to the 1800s, that's a long time.
Well, I know how much football means out in Alabama. One of my bucket list items to get to see an Alabama game in person, but one of the things we're going to knock off our bucket list, we're going to see a football game in Alabama, even if it's a Senior Bowl coming up in about 4 weeks. So looking forward to that project. All right, now what are your thoughts about that long time 1893 Birmingham Athletic Club?
Yeah, like Marvin said, it's hard to beat a team twice. And looking at that game, watching that game and how Oklahoma jumped out to, I think, a 17-0 lead, you're like, oh boy, here we go again. This is not what I signed up for, because the first game wasn't very competitive, and then all of a sudden, you're dealing with 18, 21 to 22-year-old kids, and the NIL era rather, it might be 24, 25-year-old kids, but you never know what's on a kid's mind. They go in at halftime, they come out, they think they thought they had the game won. They're thinking about the last time they played him, this is going to be easy. And Alabama decided to punch back, and Oklahoma didn't necessarily like it. And understand, this is not Oklahoma. For them to get to the playoffs is something. In this NIL era now, Oklahoma is not the same type of program that it used to be. Right. This is not Barry Switzer's Oklahoma. This is a different type of Oklahoma. Kids, the playing field is level now. Where before the playing field wasn't exactly level. So Oklahoma, Brent Venables has done a great job there at Oklahoma. I don't know if they'll, if they decide to move on from him, if they could get somebody better, somebody would do a better job. But Brent Venables, he's an Oklahoma guy. He's keeping them relevant on the national stage, and that's all you can ask for. But for Alabama, they're tough. I didn't like the matchup, to be honest with you. I didn't like the fact that Alabama made the 12-team playoff. I didn't think they deserved to be in the 12-team playoff with 3 losses. But kudos to them for showing up, because I was concerned. We all watched the SEC championship game and looked like they mailed it in on that day. So I was really concerned about what type of football, the quality of football we were going to see in the opening round. So kudos to them. For going out there and taking care of Oklahoma.
Well, Mel, I agree with you. I don't think Max Venables, is it Brent Venables?
Brent,
okay, is going anywhere. I don't think there's a better coach out there to begin with. And we're going to talk about the Michigan situation or hypotheticals in a little bit. He ain't going anywhere. He's done a really decent job with what he's had to work with. He really, truly has. And Barry Switzer, yeah, you're right. It's more of an even playing field now than it ever has been. But you make a lot of great points, Mel. You really simply do. I mean, Oklahoma to me doesn't rank. I mean, do I think Alabama should have been in the playoffs? Yeah, that's borderline. But Oklahoma's done a pretty good job competing against Alabama, more so than a lot of other people. So, as I was alluding before, I mean, the reality of the situation is this. We can talk about the Notre Dame inclusion or exclusion all day long. We'll have a lot more shows for which we can talk about it. There's no question about it. But this is something that you have to address. We talk about Alabama, Notre Dame, whatever the case is. But, yeah, Oklahoma's done a good job. And even though they couldn't go ahead and beat them twice, another story. We have another guy coming to the program. I'll be darned. Look at this. All right. And here's that square. Look at that. Is there a hat there, or do I see a head? I don't know.
We'll have to get a hat.
Yeah, I don't care if you want to. You can show your wares all the way. It's no big deal. Great stuff. Okay. So we knew Scotty would join the party at some point or another. Look at that. See you in a little while. So, Candy, go ahead and wrap up this topic. And then we'll actually ask Scott about this one as well. I think we'll break him in the right way. And at least we know he's wearing a champ shirt, right? Okay. So if he wants to wear a champ shirt, fine. If he wants to wear something different, that's okay too. Scott.
I'm totally sorry.
I'm kidding with you. I like to give him a hard time once in a while. The fact that you made it on this show shows me something. That's okay, Scott. Just kidding with you, brother. All right, go ahead, Candy.
So we're talking about the fact that Alabama came back and beat Oklahoma and didn't go down, lose to them twice. So yeah, Oklahoma jumped out to a 17-0 lead, like Mel had said. Momentum then switched because Alabama's comeback began with a touchdown pass from Ty Simpson to freshman Lozier Brooks, and then a pick six by Sabian Brown, tying the game at 17. They scored 27 unanswered points, and Oklahoma they made mistakes. The kicker missed a couple of field goals. I think Alabama came to play in this game, and they didn't want that streak to, end. They wanted to make sure that they had a statement game. They wanted to make sure that people talked about them and wanted to make sure that, yes, they belonged in the playoff. Whether you believe that they belong there or not, this helps some people that were really anti them being in the college playoffs by them, winning this game.
Turn to you, Scott. What do you think?
I think Alabama belonged. You can't hold the SEC championship game against them because that was just an extra game that a lot of other teams didn't play. And it would have been Alabama or Notre Dame. And I was definitely dead set against Notre Dame getting in.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So let's continue on. All right, we're going to talk about some USC and some UCLA stuff, and that's this. USC wide receiver Makai Lemon is officially declared for the 2026 NFL Draft. Marvin, what are your thoughts?
If you had a chance to watch Makai Lemon play this year, you saw literally one of the best receivers in the history of the game, and that's why they gave him the Blitnikoff Trophy. He was up against some stiff competition from guys from Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, and a few other guys, but Makai Lemon was USC's go-to guy this year. We had a top 10 quarterback, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that Makai Lemon was out there making catches in double coverage, one-handed catches, beating coverage, beating zone. Really showed up big in big games for us. And the guy's only about 5'10", if that, but he's a dog player, man. He gets the ball in his hands, and he's like a powerful running back when he gets that ball. Explosive, speed, routes, gritty, tough, fast, elusive. He's that guy. So it wasn't surprising. I saw every single play he's played in his career, and he's really evolved from the time that we got him at Los Alamitos High School to where he is now. I predict that Makai Lemon is going to be the next Amon-Ra St. Brown, the same guy you see up in Detroit. That's his idol. That's really who his game is patterned after. He's probably a stronger player, more physical player than Brown, but believe it or not. But Makai Lemon was the real deal. There was no mistaking giving him that Blitnikoff. USC's second Blitnikoff with Marquise Lee being the first. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see him go in the draft. I expect him to be a first-round pick without question. He's a guy who could be a number one receiver at his size. He's a difference maker. He's a difference maker. He'll probably end up playing the slot for somebody in the NFL, but some NFL team is going to get instant offense with this guy. He is a day one player, in my opinion.
Mel?
More physical, maybe stronger. I doubt it. Remember St. Brown's dad was Mr. Universe, and those guys, they eat weights. So I doubt he's stronger. But yeah, I mean, the guy's getting an opportunity to realize his childhood dream. Playing at USC was, probably one of his dreams. God bless him. But staying there and collecting NIL checks is not what he wanted to do. He wanted to go to the next level, take his talents to the next level, and see what he could do on the next level. So it doesn't surprise me that he decided to enter the portal. I think he's done all that he could do at the college level. It's a unanimous All-American. Marvin said, won the Blitnikoff Award. So there's nothing else for him to do at the collegiate level. It's time to take his talents to the next level and see what he can do.
You put this guy in the class of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You caught my attention. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. Scott?
I think he's one of the finest receivers in the country, if not the finest. I think if he had a better quarterback, he would have been even better.
Right.
But he
don't look like that, Marvin.
He had what he had, and he still outperformed his quarterback, and he played very well. I'm happy for him. I hope he goes to the league and has a good season, and gets drafted real high. He deserved the Blitnikoff. I don't believe Jeremiah Smith deserved it. I know there are a lot of people campaigning for him, but Micah Lemon is the best wide receiver in the country. Period. End of story.
I like that, Scott. All of a sudden, there might be a hope for you in this broadcasting business. Just kidding with you, man. This guy is unbelievable. He's getting better. He's becoming part of the system. Good stuff. S squared. By the way, Mel, just so you know, Scott Solomon, obviously we work together over on another network. So Mel meets Scott.
What is that? What shirt is that, Champs? I can't read the top part. Who?
The Panthers.
And you're endorsing them, and you still have issues getting along with that lady?
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Scott, Mel, there you go. Now you're share the same screen. All right, Candace, go ahead.
As a freshman in 2023, he saw very limited playing time. He only caught 6 passes for 88 yards. 2024, that changed. He had 764 yards. In 2025, he had 1,156 yards. So he's got tremendous upside. He's averaging 14.7 yards per catch. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I mean, that's a first down every time you're throwing to him. Great receiver. Can't wait to see what he's going to do in the NFL.
Great stuff. Okay. With that said, let's continue on. Let's talk about, we got to be fair. We're going to give UCLA a little bit of their equal footing. Nico Lama-Laveva plans to return for another season with UCLA. The Bruins finished 3-9 in their first season after he transferred from Tennessee. Mel, what are your thoughts about Nico?
He needed to come back. And first of all, I'm glad he stayed at UCLA, obviously. But he definitely needed to come back. I don't think he had the type of year that he was hoping to have after his freshman year at Tennessee. I think a lot of things didn't go well at UCLA last year. Obviously, the offense, the first 3 or 4 games, when Deshaun Foster was there, was sputtered. In the offense, they picked it up a couple of different games, but the problem that I had with it is that Nico was the primary ball carrier, and he's not going to succeed in the Big Ten running the football like that. I mean, he's very slight built. He's tall, so he's a big target, and he's not going to be able to sustain the types of hits that he was going to receive in the Big Ten. And obviously, what I thought was true because he did. He ended up getting hurt, and so. But I'm glad he's staying there. He's got a new coach. He's going to have his third offensive system. In the third year in a row. But he definitely needed to come back to college. There was no need for him to take his talents to the NFL. He's making some money at UCLA, not as much money as he would get if he was the number one overall pick. And I think that's what the goal should be for him, is to try to become the number one overall pick in the draft. So I think it's good for him. I think it's good for the program. We'll have a little bit of stability at that program. We know we have somebody that can captain the ship, and we'll see with the new coach coming in there, new offensive coordinator, what that's going to look like, and hopefully that improves his draft stock.
Scott?
I just don't think he's that kind of player that he's going to make that big of an impact in the league. He's a good college player. He's playing well at UCLA. He's playing well under Neuheisel. But I just don't believe he's a number one pick. At least he hasn't shown to me in his body of work so far that he's a number one pick. Whether he comes back and shows it, then that's another story. But I just haven't seen it yet.
Marvin?
Yeah, number one pick is stretching it. I mean, he may be the number one pick in the 7th round. When he was at Tennessee, he was their $3 million a year quarterback. He left Tennessee because he wanted, out of a contract dispute, he wanted more money. The media absolutely crucified him. And then he went to UCLA to have that disastrous season. He's a good athlete. He's a, above average athletic college quarterback. Leaving UCLA would have been tough just because, again, the media crucified him already. And then for him to be a quarterback, which is a leadership position, and then to leave them to go somewhere else again, it would actually be pretty typical for today's kids. But for a guy like that, listen, he went to LA, loved LA. UCLA wrote him a check. He's going to stay. The new coach they have at UCLA got in his ear, talked to him about, coach talk and, being a leader, and this year can be different. And he stayed. It's probably a smart move considering everything that program is going through, everything that he went through in trying to get more money. It'll be interesting to see what UCLA puts out on the field this year with him as their quarterback. Their season last year was so disastrous. It was an embarrassment to college football. Just considering, it's a Big Ten.
An embarrassment to college football. Thanks, Marvin.
No, it just was. It was bad. I mean,
it was an embarrassment for UCLA, but I don't know about college football.
Well, if
as
you're
a whole, there's a lot of things that were an embarrassment to college football. What about Sharon Moore? That's an embarrassment to college football.
Yeah, there are different levels of
losing some games is not an embarrassment. I mean, it might be an indictment against the program, but an embarrassment.
Hey,
for the entire college football?
I said what I said. If it goes viral, it goes viral. Okay. but the point is this. He's at a subpar program right now who's trying to get some traction with a no-name coach. I'm happy he stayed. I think it's good for him. Let's see if they can get some wins this year.
All right, Candy. Boy, I'll tell you, Scott, you're getting a clinic with these two. I told you this was definitely – I'm telling you something. This is a show that's a classic, Scott. Mel and Marvin, okay, to me are my version of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Go ahead, Candy.
I'm Ali.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I say that's the thing you guys.
One of the things we have talked about on Inside the Pigskin is how rookie quarterbacks come into the NFL and don't have consistency with the coaching, the offensive coordinators, and how that is detrimental to their development. The same could be said for him going to UCLA and having all the changes that he did with the head coaching, the offensive coordinators and stuff like that. I think his smartest move was to stay so he can get good, solid coaching at least for this year. And hopefully they'll have a lot better results than they did this last year, which will help his draft stock for him and will help propel him into the NFL. Where that draft puts him in the draft remains to be seen, but I think that's a very smart move for him to stay.
I'll say this, Jerry Neuheisel did a really good job with this kid. He really did. It'll just be interesting to see what the new regime goes ahead. It does of them again. Now our featured topic of the morning, obviously, are the best turnarounds in 2025. I'll list a few of them off. And we don't have to go a long time with it. Just say which ones are better. We'll move on. We had a lot of great heavy-hitting topics today. Stay with us. Good morning. And by the way, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. All right. That's turnaround. The Patriots started off at 1-2. They're currently at 12-3. The Texans 3-5 at 10-5, doing pretty good. Chasing the Jaguars a little bit. The Buffalo Bills are 1-2. They're 12-3. And you also have the Bears. That's 7-4, and they're at 11-4. Let's see, what do we got? We got the Patriots, we got the Texans, we got, excuse me, let me read the list again. All right, just saw a little cut off. All right, I was talking too fast reading. Then again, what's new with me anyways? It doesn't matter. We'll try it again. The Patriots 1-2, 12-3. The Texans are 3-5, 10-5. The Broncos are 1-2, 12-3. There you go, Motormouth. You got that one right the second time out. Good morning, Earl. The Bills 7-4, 11-4. Bears 1-2, 11-4. And then the Jaguars 4-3 and 11-4. All right, Marvin, we don't have to stay forever on it. Which one is the most impressive one that you see?
You probably got to look at the Bears, just because of they got the number one quarterback, the number one draft pick, Caleb Williams, last year, and it was an up and down season, and a lot of this was just because of the leadership or lack of leadership from the coaching staff. To be honest with you, not really having a plan for the number one guy. They started off shaky this year with Ben Johnson as the head coach. Ben Johnson was considered to be one of the top offensive coordinators when he was in Detroit. He was somebody who was highly sought after just for what he did with Jared Goff. And the question is, can he do the same thing with an even better quarterback, with an even better player, Caleb, who's considered to be a generational talent? And they have. Right now, the Bears are looking like they're going to be a problem in the NFC for a long time. They got a couple of offensive linemen. They drafted another running back. They have a rookie running back. And Caleb Williams is playing really well, playing very efficient. The Bears are going to the playoffs. And the Bears are a team you don't want to see this year. So, yeah, their second half turnaround, what Ben Johnson's been able to do with Caleb, with that offense, it's been amazing. You're seeing them beat good teams at home, good teams on the road. They're winning games late. I mean, they're winning in all the ways that playoff teams should win. Guys, teams who are contenders, they find a way to win. And this wasn't the case for the Bears years ago. So, yeah, Ben Johnson, this turnaround with Caleb Williams has been remarkable. Seeing them bounce back from a slow start has been very impressive.
Yeah, Candy?
I'm kind of torn between Jacksonville and the Patriots because I think we all expected the Bears to be better. And so I don't know that we expected the Jaguars to leap as much as they have under Liam. We all know that Mike Vrabel is a good coach too, but did we expect them to be where they're at this point in the season? So I'm gonna give those two my best turnaround.
Gotta go with Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're the biggest success story in the AFC, next to possibly New England, but they really turned it around. James Gladstone, he's got to be up for Executive of the Year. He pulled off the trade for Jacoby Myers to give another weapon to Trevor Lawrence. Great move. He had the great move to get Travis Hunter with the second pick. He's shaking and baking. He's doing what he's got to do. He's turning Jacksonville around. That's going to be a franchise to be reckoned with.
Okay. All right, everybody is done so far? Mel?
No, not me.
Go ahead. You are now.
I would say Chicago, from where they were last year. And then, after the slow start to the beginning of the year, the media scrutiny in which Caleb Williams was under at that particular time, people thinking that Ben Johnson and Caleb, that wasn't going to work, didn't think that was an ideal fit. All the things that the pundits were saying about them that were negative. I mean, people expected Chicago to be better, but nobody expected them to win the division. And let's be honest. And then, Houston dug themselves a hole earlier in the year, and it looked like they were going to be out of it. They dug a deep hole. The quarterback gets hurt for a little bit. They had the backup comes in there for a little while. And so, it looked like the Texans were going to be out of it early, but they bounced back and, really, really surprised me as to how they've been playing as of late and got themselves back into the playoff picture.
Okay, here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to keep it simple, stupid. Lots of topics to get to. Some of them might end up being rapid fire, but I'm going with Chicago. Reason why I'm not sold on Denver, two words: Jacksonville Jaguars. the Jaguars exposed the Broncos. Period. That's all I'm going to say. I love what the Bears are doing. They're showing a lot of prowess with Ben Johnson and company, what they've done there. Flat down for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going with the Bears. Okay. Let's talk about some notable rookie performances from Week 16's weekend slate. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end, ends up getting 5 touches for 35 yards, 2 touchdowns. So you've got him, and I think that's with Cleveland. But with the Chargers, you have O'Marion Hampton, running back, 17 touches, 95 yards, a touchdown. R.J. Harvey, running back, 11 touches, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. With Denver, Ashton Jeanty, finally, this guy had some productivity. But then again, when Chip Kelly's messing you up, I give him a mulligan for the year. But he ends up with 25 carries, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There's another one that our friend of the show, Jennifer Matthews-Lewis, would like. And that's this. Tatoria McMillan, the wide receiver, 6 for 73 yards and a touchdown for Carolina. The Jets had Armand Membo, and he ends up he's an offensive line, 34 pass snaps, no pressures. Chicago Bears have Kyle Monange, the running back, 12 for 93. The Panthers with Lathan Ransom, defensive back. And obviously we all know about what happened there, the game-ending interception against the Bucs. And the Lions, Tate Ratledge, had 57 pass snaps, no pressures. And last but not least, you have the Saints, Jonas Sanker, defensive back, 2 pass breakups, interception. All right, we're going rapid fire on this, Marvin. Which one stands out?
I got to go Jeanty with the Raiders. Listen, Chip Kelly, this guy needs to get out of football. I don't know what he was doing with Jeanty, changing his stance, changing his style of play. Jeanty was a dog. He was a beast in college. I know college is not the NFL, and you definitely coach those guys up, trying to get them out of bad habits. But Jeanty was just a raw ball carrier, a real ball carrier, and you've seen the success he's had since Chip Kelly has left. So, yeah, Jeanty, I thought had a great performance. He's been playing really good since Kelly left. And I'm looking for him to finish this season strong with those Pete Carroll Raiders.
Candy?
Let's give it to somebody that we don't normally give it. Let's give it to Chase Brown and the Bengals with 2 receiving touchdowns. Let's do that.
Okay. Scott?
Harold Fannin Jr.
Okay.
I love that kid coming out of college from Bowling Green. He's a great tight end. He's going to be something special in this league.
Mel?
Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, I think you have to go with Ashton Jeanty. This guy's been through the rigors with the Raiders, with a few bright spots. He definitely was worth a pick. He just needs to get with the right coach night situation. All right, as we continue here, we're going to talk about some hypotheticals. One of those hypotheticals is this: the odds to be next Michigan head coach. Why am I talking hypothetical? Because they filled that vacancy. But we're going to use this segment here about what would have been, would they have made it in Michigan as well. And that being this, obviously, Kalen DeBoer was 4-1. Jesse Minter was 5-1. Joe Brady, 6-1. Jad Fish, 7-1. Jeff Brome, 8-1. Kenny Dillingham, obviously, 9-1. Lincoln Riley was 9-1. And Dan Mullen was actually 10-1. Marcus Freeman, 12-1. Brian Kelly, 25-1. I'm going to start off with this segment, and I'll tell you what. I'm going to talk about the only coaches that could have made it there, and I'll go over and help everybody out and give them the information. Number 1, Kalen DeBoer, staying in the college football playoff, may have delayed any possibility of this happening. Jesse Minter, I couldn't see that one happening because of the Jim Harbaugh connection. Joe Brady, I didn't see as a serious candidate. Jed Fish said he didn't want the job. Guess what? You don't need to worry about it. You didn't get it anyways. Jeff Brome, I know personally from firsthand experience, he's a Louisville guy, but I think he could have been there. He made the right call staying at Louisville anyway. Kenny Dillingham got a contract extension. Arizona State. Lincoln Riley, I couldn't see him moving off of USC. Dan Mullen would have been an intriguing possibility because he beat Michigan a couple times. And for him to get that Michigan job, I would have liked that possible hire. Marcus Freeman's a guy who may have not gotten a hire, but watch out for him in NFL circles. And Brian Kelly, no way. I've laid it out for everybody. Marvin, go ahead. Which one or two would you think would have been a good hypothetical?
A good hypothetical for Michigan. probably would have been. I mean, Marcus Freeman would have been great. I think he's a young, proven coach who who's ascending. He's ascending. I would have to go with Marcus Freeman. I think he's that good. He's the guy that I would have picked. I mean, I wish SC got that guy. He fits the culture of what college football is today. He's a former player from Ohio State. He understands the game, understands that rivalry. Smart guy. Good in recruiting. Good in front of the microphone. I can see young men following him, and he understands the toughness that's needed to be successful. He would have been, and he could have been a pick that they would have had for 10 plus years. So yeah, that would have been a great pick for them if they could have got Marcus Freeman.
Again, my choice in this group was Dan Mullen. Go ahead, Candy.
I agree with Marvin. I think Marcus Freeman would have been an excellent hire for him. I could see him having longevity there. I could see him really bringing in. Let's face it, Michigan is one of the longest history football franchises. I could totally see him doing really well there, and that would have really helped Ward Manuel's case because he's had some questionable hires. So I think that would have been a really good hire for him.
Scott.
Marcus Freeman was the man. He's a great young coach. He gets into the head of the players. He can think on their level, and he's a player's coach. I really like Marcus Freeman, despite how I despise Notre Dame.
Okay, good thought. I like that, Scott. Thank you. Okay, Mel.
Yeah, hypothetically speaking, Marcus Freeman is the only logical choice for Michigan. We're talking hypothetics without question.
See, if I didn't think that the NFL was on his mind, it would have gone that way. But for some crazy reason, I think that Marcus Freeman's going to leave Notre Dame if he gets the right NFL job, or I would have put him in that group. I just feel for some reason or another, he's ready to take that next step. I can't see him staying there long-term at Notre Dame because they're an independent, and obviously we saw what happened this year, not getting in. I don't care what the rules are going to be like next year. It doesn't matter. I always believe Notre Dame needs to be in a conference. That's why I have him slated in the NFL. That's why I didn't put him on that list. Great stuff. So here we're going to continue with the topic and tell you that Joe Klatt of Fox said he believes that Michigan had a chance to get 3 head coaches. Kenny Dillingham, well, obviously that didn't work out. Clark Lee of Vanderbilt would have been an interesting name had he been given the opportunity. We already talked about Kalen DeBoer. So what we're going to do is condense this down to everybody and say, Marvin, what do you think? Would Clark Lee have been a good fit there?
I can't speak on that. To be honest with you, I think that for me, Michigan needs somebody just because it's one of the top 7 8 blue bloods of all time. You know what I'm saying? And they've been relevant here in the last couple of years. So this is a top program. You need a top tier coach. You need a name guy. You need someone who people are going to respect. You need someone who understands how to run a big program, who's had success at programs. There aren't many programs at Michigan's level, but you want someone who has a real track record somewhere, who's really had their footprint there. So again, I think that only certain guys really would fit the bill. To be honest with you, when you consider that they had a top recruiting class that they're trying to retain, when you consider that they're going into the new recruiting cycle. When you consider they're coming off a loss to Ohio State's getting bigger, stronger, faster. They're getting better. I mean, you need somebody who has a track record, who that university and that community can believe in. And I don't think the guy you're talking about is it. To me, he's a who.
Well, you did a good job, though, because you did speak on it, but you did it in such a velvet hammer way. You did really well. I agree. Clark Lee is not a big name. But the only difference between Vanderbilt and Michigan, what they have in common, is the fact their academics are high. That's all I'm saying. And he's coaching it very well. But otherwise, I agree with you. I don't think Clark Lee would have been the right hire, and the guy they landed was the right hire. But great stuff, Marvin. All right, Scott, I know you have to get going. We'll see you in a little bit. But go ahead. I was going to have some Miami stuff in there, but we'll bring it up at another time. If you could have hung around, you would have gotten it, but I need to talk about this one at least.
I was hoping Michigan was going to go younger. I wanted to see a guy that could grow there, spend 20 years at the program. You don't have that with Kyle Whittingham. That's where a guy like Marcus Freeman definitely would have fit the bill. I definitely wanted to see them go younger.
Okay, great stuff. All right, Scott, if you have to get going, I'll see you in about an hour. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on. Appreciate your special guest, Scott Solomon. Great stuff, Sally. I'll see you in a little bit.
Guys.
Glad to have you on. All right, Mel, go ahead.
Yeah, that was something I noticed as well. Whittingham is 66 years old. They're going to be doing this again here shortly. It would have been nice for Michigan to go younger, but the candidate pool wasn't as deep as they would have liked it to have been. Do I think that Clark Lee would have been the answer? I don't think so. I think what he does works down there at Vanderbilt. It would require Michigan to change too much of who they are unless he's going to adapt to who Michigan is. It would require them to change too much. Who they've been for centuries, other than that brief period when Rodriguez was there and they changed the offense. I mean, Michigan has been known for offensive linemen, running backs, quarterbacks, defense linemen. They're smash mouth football. That's what they're known for. And Vanderbilt doesn't do that. I mean, they're kind of, hide the weenie, sleight of hand. That's not who Michigan is. They're just line up and just pound you. So it doesn't surprise me that he wasn't the choice.
Okay, Candy.
It doesn't really surprise me. He started his head coaching career at Vanderbilt in 2021. He was 2-10. In 2022, he was 5-7. In 2023, he was 2-10. In 2024, he was 7-6. In 2025, he was 10-2. So it took him 5 years to get the program to be really good. Michigan doesn't have that kind of time. They're on a win now series and program. So yeah, I don't think he would have been the right fit at Michigan.
All right. You know what? I've been excited about this topic when Miami took care of business last week, and now I'll tell you exactly why. Because according to Football Forever, Ruben Bain Jr. had the last laugh as he blasted Texas A&M coach Mike Elko, the Aggies, and their offensive line. He called their whole offensive line some B expletive CHES. Okay, again, I'm trying to keep the language out of there, but people can read into it. And he said, F everybody. Okay, which people can read between the lines there. Okay, for Texas A&M. This comes after Texas A&M offensive lineman Trey Zhu III actually downplayed Bain's abilities. I mean, that's just unbelievable before their college football playoff matchup, which actually ended up seeing that Miami won 10-3. So I don't think he'll be a threat we need to worry about at all too much. Guess what? Marvin was a threat, and there's a certain reason why, that Texas A&M is on the outside, and Ruben Bain Jr. had the last laugh.
Yeah, listen, to be young, the banter, the back and forth, I love it. These are young kids, man, young elite level athletes just going at it, emotional. The playoffs is something that definitely brings out the best in people, brings out the most competitive spirit. Bain's going to be a top pick, outstanding D lineman out of UM. Mike Elko's done a phenomenal job with that program, after Jimbo Fisher. And, A&M's O-line, they were some big, dirty boys, man. I actually enjoyed watching them play the few times that I saw them play. But, yeah, UM got the last laugh. Bain got the last laugh. He's a hell of a player. Looking forward to seeing what he does in the rest of these playoffs in the NFL. But, yeah, the back and forth and all that, I don't read too much into that, man. These boys are just competitive. They feeling it. They emotional. And it just goes with the game. It kind of goes with it. And as a fan, as a former player, I love it.
Well, I mean, I love the fact that Ruben Bain Jr. called this guy out after he didn't think he's going to be a big deal. If that isn't bulletin board material, tell me what bulletin board material is to get this guy angry. He got Bain angry, and Candy and I know we've dealt with this guy. He's a pretty nice guy, Candy, right at the press conferences. But you got this guy mad, and he certainly made Trey Zhu III pay for it. All
Right,
right.
but
No.
that's what it is. Listen, for all these competitors, man, you know, you turn that switch on, you gonna get something from them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you got his competitive juices flowing with some of that audio there.
All right, Mel.
Well, you know, the games are won and lost on the grass, and if they're not in the media, and it's 22 men that have to go out there and compete, and you know, it's not just one guy. Now, obviously, you know, he's a special player, and he's going to do what he does, but you know, it takes an effort, a team effort for you know, success out there, for victory out there on the grass. You know, the games are won out there in the grass. Now, I didn't think that Miami was going to win. I picked Texas A&M. For whatever reason, I thought Texas A&M would win that game. I watched them play a few times. They are a pretty good team. They're sound, but hey, they ended up losing. But you know, that's just kind of how the ball bounces. You know, there's going to be a winner. There's going to be a loser. There was not going to be a tie in that game. There's going to be a winner and a loser. You know, obviously, you know, that young man went out there and had an outstanding game, which is, you know, which he's paid to do. And so that's not surprising. But, you know, the games are won and lost on the grass, not in the media.
Great points, Mel. Candy?
The media just fueled his desire to beat Texas A&M. That's all it did. It was add fuel to the fire. He already wanted to win. This just gave him a little more ammunition, a little more motivation. But he's a really good player, and kudos to them for playing lights out and playing the game they did.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm proud of the kid for doing what he did. You get somebody mad, you just show it on the field, and that's exactly what he did. When it's time for me to speak up, he did, and you rest assured, Trey June III, as much as what he said, maybe he'll think a little twice about putting somebody down, because all you have to do is show it on the field. Again, I have a feeling you'll see more about these two guys down the road anyways. But let's continue with the Miami Texas A&M theme, because this was an interesting one. Let's talk about the numbers. The Canes advanced to the quarterfinals, and here's how they managed to do it. These numbers are unbelievable, too. He had 10 punts, but in this game, there were 10 punts, 9 sacks, 4 missed field goals, 4 turnovers, 1 failed punt. Texas A&M had, I think, we have a total of 13 points in the game, fewest ever in a college football playoff game. So let me go over the numbers in case I went over them a little bit too quick, because I tend to do that a little bit. So again, here's what we're looking at. I just want to make sure that everybody gets it straight, so they have to rewind it. So that 10-3 score, okay, Texas A&M, as I said, was an interesting game. The numbers, obviously, the Canes advanced to the quarterfinals. There are 10 punts in this game, 9 sacks, 4 missed field goals. Obviously, the win was definitely out there in College Station. 4 turnovers, 1 failed punt. And again, 13 points, fewest ever in a college football playoff game. Marvin.
Special teams matter. Special teams matter. You know, 4 missed field goals, missed punt opportunity. That can change the game right there. In a tight game, when you're playing against, you know, 2 tough defenses who have the ability to have explosive offenses, and they're tight. And you're playing, you know, and you're the home team. You got 3 points, you know, at halftime. You know, you can't score a touchdown. Man, those mixed field goals are everything. So yeah, you know, in these evenly matched games, the little things matter. And unfortunately, special teams was the little thing that kept adding up ultimately against A&M.
Mel.
Yeah, I think it was played. I mean, I like tight games. I like games like that, defensive battles. But I think there was 2 coaches who were showed that was their first time in the playoffs, and they coached tight, and that's why the game was kind of tight. And you had all those kind of punts. I think they were wanting the other team to make the mistakes, and they didn't want to put their team in a position to make mistakes. And I think that was two coaches that just coached the game very tight because it was their first time in the playoffs. And that's why, you know, the teams play that way, because you look at some of the other games and, you know, the prolific scoring that was going on. That's not what happened there. So I think what we'll see when Miami plays again, I think you'll probably see a different Miami out there. Mario Cristobal will have 1 playoff game under his belt, and I think he'll probably coach the game a little bit differently and allow his players to go out there and win the game as opposed to hoping that the other team loses the game.
Candy.
Scott, you mentioned that there were 9 sacks in this game. Miami had 7 of those 9. You mentioned turnovers. Well, Texas A&M threw 2 interceptions. They both each fumbled the ball once, but Texas A&M 2 interceptions thrown. Those things matter. I think Miami just was more physical. I think they rushed a lot more yards. Miami rushed 175 yards to Texas A&M's 89. That mattered. This was old school bash in football. Great game to watch. Obviously, I was happy with the outcome. I had predicted, because I said on this show, I went with my heart and I predicted Miami. So I was happy to see it. It was in front of 104,000 people watching this matchup. You could tell they were more, because obviously it was in College Station, but Miami went in there and took care of business and proved why they were in the college football playoffs.
Well, you know what? I also predicted Miami would win, but I didn't use my heart. I went with my instincts. And I'll tell you what, let's talk about this in more detail, because the last time Miami went to Texas A&M, the Aggies outlasted the Canes 17-9 behind 130 total yards from running back Devon Ashney, and he's with the Miami Dolphins. And obviously, you talk about him with the Miami Dolphins. So, and then also from quarterback Max Johnson. So I think the Canes walked into this thing knowing they were on house money, but Devon Ashley had a pretty good game, actually, going for 130 yards as well. And then Max Johnson. So I had a feeling Miami was going to walk in there knowing that they were on house money. And as a result, I thought I had a gut feeling and it worked. So Marvin, what are your thoughts about the Canes' last appearance and how it turned out here?
Yeah, listen, A-Chain's the real deal. Super explosive running back, speedy guy, shifty running back. He's a game-breaking player. He's the kind of guy that if you feed him the ball enough times, he's just going to make an explosive play. He's just too hard to contain. And he was like that. He was at college at A&M, and then obviously he's doing that now for the Dolphins. Yeah, listen, when you beat a team, it builds you build confidence like that. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand if the Canes felt that they can handle this team just based upon their prior experiences. But yeah, the Canes should be happy that they didn't have to play against him twice, because again, he's a very good player, and he apparently got them good for 130 yards the first time.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Mel.
Okay, so you're asking a question about the current Canes or prior Canes? Because you brought up A-Chan. So what is the question?
Well, the question is the fact that Miami got revenge on and I just talked about the last time they were there, and Devon obviously was a big factor at 130 yards, really what it comes down to. They didn't have him here, and they had a good performance from Max Johnson. The Canes obviously walked into this thing with a chip on their shoulder, but they didn't have to deal with either of these two guys. Okay.
Yeah, again, like I said, the game was won out there in the grass. What happened a number of years ago? A lot of those players probably weren't even
well,
there.
Actually, it was just a couple of years ago.
Was it?
Okay. Yeah, just
with the NIL era, guys moving around so much. Guys aren't really there anymore. So, but yeah, they got their. I don't look at it as sweet revenge or anything like that. They got an opportunity to play a team again that handled them before. And they came out on top this particular time, and I think A-Chan was just one of the only bright spots of the Miami Dolphins this past season on the offensive side of the ball. But for the Hurricanes, it's just a big win. It allows them to continue to play. They don't have to make plans for Cancun. They can keep playing.
Well, show you how recent it was. Jimbo Fisher was the coach for Texas A&M. That's how current it was. Candy.
Well,
maybe part of the reason why they looked back at that game and saw the running back did as well, and maybe that's why Mark Fletcher had the game that he had, and the yards that he had between him and Malachi Toney. Obviously, Malachi's a freshman. he had a mishap. He has the fumble early in the game, but yet they went back to him at the end, and he was able to make the catch and make the touchdown for Miami. So kudos to them.
Yeah, Mark Fletcher Jr., by the way, has already said he's going to be coming back one more year for the Canes. More power to him. Malachi Tony, this kid's a stud. Can't wait to see him for another year or two. This guy just blows me away. You talk about a kid that does it on special team. You get him the ball, sensitive. You know, when he had that mistake, he came back. Don't worry about a kid. He'll make it up. What do you think he does? He made it up. They won. So, I mean, they got a lot of good young players on this squad for sure. And I'll tell you, can you only imagine what happens that once Carson Beck is gone, what kind of quarterbacks that they'll have in the portal? It's a scary thought. I can only imagine. To me, it would be ironic if DJ Lagway makes his way down here, and the Canes had a chance to see him a couple of times. Just food for thought. But there's certainly going to be a lot of quarterbacks that the Miami Hurricanes will be able to get. But we'll focus on the present. They get the Ohio State Buckeyes over in the Cotton Bowl. Great show today, everybody. So for those of you who are out there shopping and hanging out with families, hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you who want to catch it later on, and all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button out there. And Candy will go out there and put the other thing up there. What is that? The barcode. You can subscribe that way throughout.
QR code. All you gotta do is take your camera, go to it, and it'll take you to the YouTube page, and then hit that red subscribe button, please, for us all. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank Scott Solomon for also being on the show today. Nice little cameo appearance by Scott. Meanwhile, Marvin, what I want you to do, my friend, and by the way, next Wednesday night, the Motor City Madmouth and Marvin on the Mic show debut. So hope you can join us. Marvin and I are looking forward to it. Candy will be working on the logos this week as we get prepped for another. Oh, poor Candy. She had another thing to do, and those she had 9 million things to do. Anyway, and Earl, we appreciate your participation in the chat room and the eyes of Jimmy Walker. For a good time, you're dynamite. Okay, so I don't have to get too loud when I say it. You know, I'll try to be a little bit mellow as I have a lot to do the rest of the day. So, Marvin, why don't you let everybody know how to get a hold of you? What are you looking forward to your new show that will debut next Wednesday?
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my cousin Earl, my cousin Jasmine, who are watching us faithfully. Very definitely love that support. Listen, I'm looking forward to grown folks talk, man. You know, all over the place. We talking about everything. Don't come sensitive. Don't come with feelings. This is going to be pure entertainment, good information, some good sports personalities, and I'm looking forward to the collab with the coach, Scott. You know, in this space, you're the head coach, baby. You know what I'm saying? And I like all the plays you calling. So I'm excited about this. Very happy to be a part of just the South Florida Tribune and just working with you guys and just all the opportunities that I've received. You can catch me, Marvin on the Mic. Those my social media handle. I'm with the South Florida Tribune a lot. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Saturday morning with more to come. As Scott said, we're debuting something here New Year's Eve, and I'm just excited about growing with you guys and just growing in this space.
Well, you're deserving of your show. I have a superstar in you and Mel, so what can I say? And Ben Troop when he comes on Tuesday nights. I have a bunch of superstars in my system. Mel will be the first to tell you that. Mel, we have come a long way on the network, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, we used to do this over the phone back then. me, you, and Peter. We used to do this. This was a 3-way phone call. That's how it started.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm glad you brought Peter Ween. Peter Ween, if you're up there in heaven, I'm proud of you, and you've been like a mentor to me as well. Love you, Peter. Hope you're looking down and enjoying this entertainment from way up north. Okay, Candy. Mel, you can promote your nonprofit as well.
Yeah, you can catch me in all the social media at Mel Farr Jr. and then follow what we have going on for the youth here in Georgia and also in Michigan at Mel Farr Superstar Foundation.org.
Yeah, and we enjoy this Saturday show, people. This is a great opportunity for the 4 of us to go out there. Once in a while, we'll bring somebody else in there so we can keep the football rolling. I couldn't think of 3 better people to do it. Candy, our statistician and researcher. We got Marvin and Mel acting as Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. They can decide who they want to most me, and I'm out there just trying to make sure I don't screw it up. So I'm glad that Jasmine and you really enjoyed the show, Earl. And I'll tell you what, we have a lot more cooking as well over the weekend. So with that said, that does conclude this edition of the Saturday morning of Inside the Pigskin. On behalf of Marvin Powell III, Mel Farr Jr., Candy. My name is Scott Morgan, off the Motor City Madmouth, giving Candy the opportunity for one more station break, and then we'll end it here. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published Lessons from the Microphone, tuning in the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the business and how it has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, click it like a share us, or you can use the QR code up in the top left corner. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. If you haven't joined us now, you can join us later anytime you want. And we look forward to providing you more and more entertainment as we wind down the year. There will be no programming on Monday night. And the reason why, it's my 63rd birthday. And I've decided to take the day off and go out there and spend it with family and friends and whatever. So I'm tuning out that one day. I'll be back on December 30th. So hope everybody has a great weekend. So thanks a lot for supporting us all year long. And we look forward to an even better 2026. So once again, that does it for us this morning. We'll catch you the next time on Tuesday night, December 30th. And the next show will be Inside the Pigskin. And we'll have a lot more hay so that we can go out there and say, yay. Thank you very much, Earl. God bless and appreciate you big time, buddy. All right, that does it for us. Thank you very much. And we will catch you the next time. Bye now.
Happy early birthday, Scott.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Scott.
Thank you, Mel.